Emotional control is your battlefield advantage. It is the quiet weapon that wins wars no one else sees. In the heat of conflict, when voices are raised and tempers flare, the one who can command their inner world holds the true position of strength. It's not about suppressing emotions or pretending they don't exist. It's about mastering the response rather than being mastered by the moment. When you walk into a room, people feel your energy before you speak a word. That energy, confident, calm, grounded, comes from emotional control. Think of it like a pilot flying through turbulence. The storm outside may be wild, but the cockpit stays steady. Life throws storms your way through betrayal, disrespect, jealousy, or deception. You don't get to control the weather, but you do control the cockpit. And in that cockpit, your hands are on the wheel. Control doesn't mean weakness. It doesn't mean you don't feel the fire or the pain. It means you don't let that fire set your life ablaze. Emotional control is not about denying your anger or sadness. It's about channeling it, using it, converting that emotional fuel into clarity, into action, into mission. You do not let your emotions become your leader. You lead them. Demons don't just attack through chaos. They test you through calculated triggers, disrespect, mockery, backhanded compliments, subtle gaslighting. They look for cracks in your armor. But when you control your emotions, you don't just wear the armor. You become the weapon, Because nothing frustrates manipulator more than the target who won't react. In your silence, there is weight. In your calm, there is confrontation. When someone disrespects you and you do not react, you force them to sit with their own weakness. You show them they never had control over you to begin with. And you hold the one thing they fear most: dominance without chaos, power without noise. It's easy to explode. Anyone can yell. Anyone can throw words like knives and walk away thinking they won. But those are losses dressed as victories. Temporary releases with permanent consequences. True winners fight differently. They don't get baited. They don't get rattled. They fight the long game. They know that real power doesn't show off. It shows up. Emotional control builds mental clarity. When you aren't consumed by reactions, you can actually see the game being played. You spot patterns. You hear what's not being said. You realize the insult wasn't about you. It was a projection of someone else's insecurity. You understand that their goal wasn't communication. It was domination. And once you see that, you cannot be manipulated by it. When you don't react, you stay in control of the outcome. You give yourself options. You preserve your dignity. You keep your mission clear. Because if you're constantly caught in emotional firefights, you'll lose focus on the actual war, your growth, your goals, your peace. Every emotional explosion pulls you off course, But emotional control keeps you locked on target. It's not about being cold. It's about being calculated. It's about choosing the right time to speak, the right way to respond, and sometimes the strength to walk away entirely, not out of fear, but out of self-respect. You don't owe your energy to people who disrespect you. You don't owe your reactions to people who haven't earned your time. This is what separates the average from the elite, the reactive from the resilient. Emotional control isn't passive. It's precision. It's knowing exactly when to fire and when to let the enemy waste their ammunition. You let them swing, scream, disrespect, and distort. And you stand firm, silent, unmoved. Because you're not here to prove yourself. You're here to protect your mission, your peace, your purpose. Control is the shield and the sword. It's what keeps your mind sharp and your path clear. And it is earned day by day, choice by choice, breath by breath. In the end, the battle isn't out there. It's in your mind. And the one who controls that battlefield wins every war. Silence isn't weakness, it's strategy. It's one of the most misunderstood forms of power, especially in a world that constantly demands reaction, commentary, and noise. But those who have learned the discipline of silence understand something that most don't control doesn't always come from domination. It often comes from observation. The one who stays silent when provoked, insulted, or disrespected is not avoiding confrontation. They're assessing the battlefield. There's a kind of clarity that only silence can bring. When everything around you is loud, voices, opinions, emotions, silence allows you what truly matters, your own clarity of thought. In the heat of emotional attacks, when someone is trying to get a rise out of you, your silence doesn't mean you didn't notice. It means you refuse to be baited. That's not weakness. That's discipline. That's control. That's leadership. People who can't handle silence often mistake it for fear or guilt. But those who truly know power understand that silence is tactical. It creates space. It shifts momentum. It causes the aggressor to question their position. While they're expecting a heated response, they're left to wrestle with their own words. You. Silence forces them to confront themselves without you needing to lift a single verbal weapon. In relationships, silence can reveal more than any argument ever could. When you stop explaining, you stop defending, stop chasing after people to understand you or validate your experience, you reclaim your power. The ones who care will feel the silence and move with respect. The ones who don't will show their true colors. You. That's how silence becomes a filter. It separates the ones who are aligned with you from the ones who are only ever attached to the benefits of your presence. Silence is also how you regain command in the midst of chaos. You. When you're in an emotionally charged situation, whether it's betrayal from someone close or manipulation masked as concern, your silence gives you the time and space to process without clouded judgment. It keeps you from making reactive decisions that cost you peace, integrity, or progress. You may not win the moment with silence, but you often win the war. Toxic people fear silence because it forces them to face the mirror. They depend on your emotional reactions to feed their sense of control. They thrive on dragging you into their drama because it distracts you from your direction. But when you stop responding, when you withdraw your energy, when you protect your peace with silence, they lose access. That silence speaks volumes. It says, I see you, I understand you, but I will not play your game. Not every attack deserves a defense. Not every insult requires a reply. Not every betrayal needs a public reaction. The most powerful people in any room aren't the loudest. They're the most measured. They know when to speak, and more importantly, when not to. They aren't rushed by emotions or provoked by others' expectations. They choose their words like a pilot chooses altitude based on purpose, not panic. Silence also gives you leverage. In conversations, negotiations, and even conflicts, silence creates discomfort in those who are unsure of themselves. That discomfort can force honesty. It can force mistakes. It can force the truth to surface. Sometimes silence is the only way to expose the lie. It lets the other person fill the space with their intentions. And that's when you learn who they really are. Being silent doesn't mean you're disconnected. It means you're deeply connected to your mission. You're focused. You're not available for emotional warfare or immature exchanges. You've got goals that demand more from you than your ego. And when you've trained your mind to stay silent in chaos, you can hear the difference between distraction and destiny. You don't need to prove yourself in every moment. You don't need to defend your name to people who already decided what they want to believe. Silence is what you use when you've evolved past the need to be understood by everyone. You're not building consensus, you're building resilience. And every time you choose silence over drama, over proving, over reacting, you're reinforcing that resilience. So when someone disrespects you, underestimates you, or tries to provoke you, you don't need to scream back to show your strength. Your silence already said everything they needed to hear. Your refusal to engage is not avoidance, it's precision. You are choosing what matters. You are protecting your peace. You are reminding them and yourself. That silence, when used with purpose, is the loudest kind of power there is. Disrespect is a mirror, but it doesn't reflect you. It reflects the person who delivers it. One of the greatest traps in life is allowing the way people treat you to dictate the way you see yourself. When someone disrespects you, it's natural to feel angry, confused, or even ashamed. But pause, breathe. That disrespect has nothing to do with your value and everything to do with their character. People who are hurt often hurt others. Insecure people lash out to feel in control. Envious people throw shade when they can't stand in your light. Disrespect is often a defense mechanism, a projection of weakness, or a sign of someone battling their own demons. It's not a measurement of your identity. It's a confession of their internal chaos. When you internalize their disrespect, you give away your power. But when you recognize it for what it is, a reflection of their brokenness, you take control back. How someone treats you is not always a response to what you've done, but who you are. Strong, focused you. Disciplined people make others uncomfortable. Your commitment to growth will irritate those committed to comfort. Your peace will aggravate their chaos. Your boundaries will offend people who benefited from your lack of them. And when they feel threatened, some will choose disrespect over honesty because it's easier than looking in the mirror. Understanding this shifts your mindset from reaction to observation. You don't need to argue with someone who disrespects you to prove your worth. You don't need to defend yourself against people who don't even know how to respect themselves. You don't need to fight battles that were never yours to begin with. You simply watch, learn, and move accordingly. Disrespect is a warning sign. It tells you who's safe and who's not, who supports you and who's just tolerating you, who's healthy and who's operating from unhealed wounds. It shows up in subtle digs, backhanded compliments, public jokes that carry private venom, or outright dismissals of your effort and progress. But whether subtle or loud, the message is the same. You. When you see it clearly, don't argue, adjust. Respect is not something you beg for. It's something you require by how you carry yourself and where you place your energy. Your worth is not found in how someone sees you, but in how you see yourself. People will say things. They will assume things. They will try to provoke and define you. But none of it sticks unless you believe it. You get to decide what enters your heart and what bounces off your armor. That armor is built through self-awareness, purpose, and emotional discipline. When you know who you are, you stop letting broken people convince you that you're less. Disrespect is not just about words, it's about patterns. Pay attention to what they do when you succeed. Do they celebrate you or do they minimize it? Pay attention to how they treat you when you're quiet. Do they check in or do they disappear? Do they support your boundaries or constantly push them? Patterns tell the truth. When someone continuously disrespects you, it's no longer a misunderstanding, it's a message. And your response becomes your standard. But here's the truth most people don't talk about. Sometimes disrespect comes from those closest to you. Friends, family, partners, people you trusted, and that hurts the most. But again, it's not about your lack of value. It's about their inability to recognize it. Maybe your growth reminds them of everything they're not doing. Maybe your focus threatens their excuses. Maybe your light exposes their darkness. Whatever the reason, their behavior is still their choice. And your response is your responsibility. You can't control what someone says behind your back, but you can control whether you turn around. You can't force someone to value you, but you can choose to no longer invest in people who constantly devalue you. Let them talk. Let them mock you. Let them question your motives. That noise is external. What matters is the internal voice, the one that says, you are enough, you are focused, and their opinion is not your mirror. The most powerful thing you can do when disrespected is not match their energy. It's to maintain your dignity. That shows true strength. It shows you know the difference between reaction and resolution. You're not here to prove your worth to people who've already chosen not to see it. You're here to live with purpose. Protect your peace and rise above the noise. Because at the end of the day, their disrespect exposes them, not you. Not every battle deserves your energy. That's a truth forged not just in pain, but in wisdom. When you live with a mission, when you're focused on growth, healing, and purpose, you quickly realize there are more distractions than real enemies. The world will test you, provoke you, and bait you into emotional warfare that leaves you drained and derailed. But learning what's worth your fight is the difference between burnout and breakthrough. There's a voice inside that wants justice, that wants to prove a point, to clap back, to put people in their place. It's the warrior in you. But here's the tactical reality. Your energy is a limited resource, and your time is a non-renewable one. If you spend your strength swinging at every insult, every shade thrown your way, every passive-aggressive comment, you'll exhaust yourself fighting battles that don't move you forward. Not every insult is a call to war. Some are distractions disguised as challenges. And if you don't recognize the difference, you'll waste your power on things beneath your mission. Sometimes silence is your sharpest sword. Walking away is not weakness. It's a strategy. Maturity is knowing you could engage. You could destroy them with truth or facts or fire, but you choose not to. Not because you're scared or incapable, but because you know what's really at stake: your peace, your progress, your priorities. Those things are too valuable to gamble over a moment of pride. The real battle is not the one outside, it's the one within. It's the choice between ego and purpose. Do you fight to be right, or do you rise to stay aligned? That choice shows your discipline, because anyone can lose their cool. But not everyone can keep it together when provoked. Self-control is not about suppressing emotions. It's about channeling them toward what matters, And what matters most is your mission, not the noise. You'll encounter people who live for conflict. They feed off chaos. They bait with disrespect. They smile while they throw jabs cloaked in jokis or just being honest. Their goal isn't truth. It's control. If they can get you to react, they win. Not because they're right, but because they pulled you out of position. Understand this reaction gives them power. Discipline takes it back. Every time you react to petty drama, you pause your momentum. Every time you engage with a person whose goal is to pull you down, you descend to their level. But you were built for higher ground. The people sent to drain you were never meant to go with you. Their role was to test you, not travel with you. So don't hand over your energy to every critic, every manipulator, every person who doesn't understand your journey. Some fights come dressed in familiar faces, family, friends, co-workers, and because of history or emotion, we feel obligated to respond, to defend ourselves, to explain our decisions. But growth will offend people. Boundaries will trigger those who benefited from your lack of them. And sometimes love must be expressed through distance, not engagement. Your emotional and spiritual clarity is too important to be compromised by those still wrestling with their own confusion. Save your strength for what builds you. Spend your energy where there's purpose. Invest in people who fuel your fire, not those who fan flames just to watch you burn. Choose your battles with the same precision a warrior chooses their next mission. Strategic, focused, intentional. Because when you stop swinging at shadows, you conserve the power to conquer giants. You're not weak for walking away, you're wise. You're not passive for staying calm, you're powerful. And you're not avoiding conflict, you're advancing with purpose. Let others throw stones, let them talk. Let them misunderstand you. That's their business. Your business is your destiny. Not every battle deserves your energy, and not every enemy deserves your presence. Reserve your strength for the victories that matter. Sometimes the loudest response is your calm. In a world that equates volume with power and chaos with strength, staying composed can feel unnatural, almost like surrender, but it's the opposite. Calm is not the absence of power. It's the full control of it. When chaos surrounds you and your spirit stays grounded, that quiet composure speaks louder than any argument ever could. It shows discipline, clarity, and a refusal to let others hijack your emotional state. Anyone can explode when they're provoked. Anyone can shout back, throw insults, or match aggression with more aggression. That's easy. That's expected. That's the default setting for people who haven't mastered themselves. But when you choose to stay calm, when you remain unmoved while others try to shake you, you flip the script. You become the storm's still center. Your calm exposes their chaos. And in that exposure, your strength becomes undeniable. People often underestimate the power of stillness. They mistake silence for submission. But a person who stays calm in the face of manipulation, disrespect, or betrayal is not weak. They are choosing strategy over emotion. There is nothing more unsettling to someone trying to provoke you than a response that doesn't match their energy. They expect a fight. They want a scene. They want control. But when you don't take the bait, when you don't rise to their level, they are left shouting at their own insecurities. Calm is a mirror. It reflects who they really are. When you stay quiet, they hear their own words echoing. When you don't react, they see the emptiness of their tactics. They can't blame your tone or twist your anger when there is none. And in that silence, they are forced to face themselves. That's the part they fear most. You don't have to explain yourself to everyone. You don't have to defend your name to people who already decided to misunderstand you. Not every accusation deserves a response. Not every insult requires a return. There's strength in knowing who you are so much so that you don't need to prove it constantly. Let your presence do the talking. Let your calm speak for itself. There's a reason seasoned leaders, warriors, and visionaries walk slowly, talk softly, and choose their words carefully. It's not because they lack emotion. It's because they've learned the cost of wasting energy. They understand that control is not dominance over others. It's discipline over self. When things fall apart, they hold the line. When chaos erupts, they breathe slower. That's not apathy. That's mastery. In your life, you will be tested, not just by strangers, but by people close to you. Friends who turn jealous, family who cross lines, colleagues who try to belittle your growth. Their tactics may be subtle or loud, but their goal is the same: to shake your peace. And when they do, your calm is your counterattack. It tells them, you don't control me. You don't get to dictate my mood. You don't have access to my energy. Remaining calm doesn't mean you're numb. It doesn't mean you're okay with what happened. It means you're choosing a response that aligns with your higher self. It means you're preserving your energy for something greater. It means you're operating from power, not panic, you. There will always be moments when your patience is tested, when everything in you wants to fight back, clap back, or burn bridges just to feel heard. But calm doesn't mean you're silent forever. It just means you speak with purpose, not with impulse. It means you wait for the right moment when your words are backed not by rage, but by reason. In your stillness, there is a message. In your peace, there is presence. People will feel your calm more than they'll ever hear your words. And when you hold on to that, when you choose restraint over reaction, you show a level of strength that noise could never match.